Hi, I'm Daniel. I tried to host a broadcast quality talk show on Facebook, and it did not go so well. So I decided to take a much needed rest. Well, technically, the state-appointed psychiatrist and the judge decided. I am now a guest of the Sunny Slope Sanitarium here in beautiful Santa Carla, California, where I am hosting a brand new talk show, or as my court-ordered therapist calls it, a grandiose delusion brought on by my unresolved trauma. Joining in my delusion this week from the Warner Brothers animated feature Mortal Kombat Legends, Scorpion's Revenge, voice talent Dave B. Mitchell. Also joining me from Young Sheldon, Sunnyside and Speechless, actor-comedian Rich Grosso. And what talk show would be complete without a musical guest, Nashville singer-songwriter Stephen Roth. Welcome to my talk show. Well, hello everybody. You like the new set? Apparently, yeah. I had a really rough week this week, but things are looking better. I'm hosting a brand new show, so I'm feeling really good about that. The last show, well, there were a lot of technical problems, and then of course NBC Universal didn't let us actually even air because we had used Rich Grosso's scene from Sunnyside in the show, and it was not authorized, but there was not like anybody at the NBC legal office we could talk to because we were all in quarantine and lockdown. But it was going to be a good show. Matter of fact, okay, I was prepared. This was going to be amazing. Matter of fact, let me show you my opening sequence for the show that I worked on all last week and nobody ever got to see. Take a look. That was totally outstanding. There was no reason in the world not to be having a really great show after that. You feel me? That's kind of my opinion on that. I get a little gangster about getting left out in the woods, but it was what it was. You know, the technical aspects, everything kind of fell flat, and I really felt bad because I disappointed the audience, you, and of course the guys who were willing to give me a shot to come out with the first episode of a talk show and willing to take a risk with everything to come help me out. And you know how the end of that blew up? Yeah, that's what the whole show did right in my face, and it was devastating. And at the end of the night, Monday night, after trying to do the show, I was really hungry and I was very cranky, and it was really rough. And so I snuck out and hit the drive-thru over at In-N-Out Burger. And I was really, I was like, okay, well, I deserve a treat. So I got pulled into line at In-N-Out Burger, and while I am sitting there, I'm sitting there trying to figure out how to salvage my show. And I just happened to see a celebrity walking down the street. Like walking on the sidewalk right next to the drive-through line, which was coming all the way out of the parking lot and all the way down Moore Park Street. It was Joaquin Phoenix. And I thought, that would be awesome. That would be a great get for my show. And I ran out and I'm like, Mr. Phoenix, I want you to be on my show. Oh my goodness, you'd be so amazing. And I grabbed him and turned him around, and it turned out it was just another homeless. It was a homeless guy. And in my defense, if you've seen Joaquin Phoenix when he's not actually doing a role, he does look homeless. And to make matters worse, the guy had a heart attack and collapsed right on the sidewalk just as the cops pulled up and they tased me. I went to spend the night in the Van Nuys lockup, at which point the next day I went before the judge, and maybe could have responded. The response could have been a little better if I hadn't asked her if she'd plumped up during quarantine since the last time I saw her. And it was a bad decision on my part. And I take full responsibility for that. And she and the court-ordered psychiatrist, who I also saw, and I didn't make that comment to her. I just asked her how her many cats were doing, and now we're here. So there's that. But I think we've got the opportunity for an incredibly great show tonight, and I hope we do it upright and we give it the just professionalism it deserves. And I hope you folks are ready to enjoy yourselves, because this is something truly impressive, and I'm very excited about this. I cannot tell you how appreciative and thankful I am that you are giving me this opportunity to make amends. It's very...
Daniel?
Yes, Dr. Dunbar?
To whom are you speaking?
I'm talking to the audience of my brand new talk show.
That's the padded wall, just like the one behind you, and the two on either side.
That's Dr. Dunbar. He's a former medical examiner. Now he's my mental examiner. And he thinks this is all a grandiose delusion brought on by bipolar disorder.
That would be a very accurate summary of my diagnosis, Daniel. And that would still be a very padded wall.
Fine, Doc, whatever. Joining me this week in my delusion from the Warner Brothers animated feature Mortal Kombat Legends, Scorpion's Revenge, voice talent Dave B. Mitchell.
It's still a wall, Daniel.
From Young Sheldon, Sunnyside, and Speechless, actor-comedian Rich Grosso.
Still a wall.
And musical guest from Nashville, Tennessee, singer-songwriter Stephen Roth.
Wait, I see your audience.
Really?
Nope, it's still a wall, psycho.
That was completely mean and frankly rude. How is that helping?
It wasn't, but my shift ended after you introduced your second guest. And off the clock, Doc, don't play.
I guess that's good to know.
You best believe it. I could end you and make it look like COVID-19. I saw that.
While I'm here in Sunny Slope Sanitarium, they are gradually trying to get me to readjust to reality. And the truth is, we're all trying to readjust to reality, because it ain't the one we left, that's for sure. So things have changed up a little bit, but I figured to try to help you along, we started a new segment we call Asylum Tonight, the Red Pill. And so I will try to relate to what's going on out there with you with something that's going on in here with me. And I wanted to talk to you tonight about having to wear a mask when you're out in public. And a lot of people are finding that really intrusive, and I get it. I didn't like putting on a mask when I left the house to go check my mail or to go do my laundry or to take garbage to the dumpster, on the fear that I would run into somebody who I would either give the COVID-19 to or bring it back home with me from them. So let me explain this now in a way we can all understand. We're doing some social distancing here, and we're all staying 6 feet apart, but that hasn't stopped certain patients. We'll call this patient Larry, from making contact with his fellow patients. You see, Larry makes contact by how do I put this? Larry likes to run around the ward naked, and pretty much anything, any place, or anyone can end up being his restroom for number one. Okay, so yeah, he pees on things and people, mostly people, and so it tends to be a little exasperating. Now, stop and think about this. If I'm walking outside and Larry pees on me, I've got clothes, but if I was naked too, then I'd be covered in pee. And it's bad enough when it gets on your clothes, okay? All right, well, the same thing goes with this virus, the coronavirus, because the bottom line is, all right, if you're wearing a mask trying to protect yourself from others, probably not going to help you that much. However, if the person who's actually carrying the virus, which again could be you could be asymptomatic and have no idea you're carrying this virus. Are you familiar with the person? You ever heard of the term Typhoid Mary? Typhoid Mary brought the typhoid fever to millions of people and she was asymptomatic. She didn't have typhoid fever, but she gave it. And that's what's happening with coronavirus, because the coronavirus, you can be totally without symptoms, but you can pass it on to people you know, people you love, people you care about. So in this instance, we're talking about the coronavirus as though it were Larry's urine. All right. So what is the best way, the most assured way to keep Larry's urine off of people, aside from him not peeing? That would probably be for him to wear clothing. So if he were wearing clothing, he would pee on the clothing and thereby less likely to transmit it to anybody who is far away from him. Of course, anybody gets close to him, all bets are off. You know, if he starts the soggy spinning, which he's probably bound to do. So in short, I just want to say, Larry, for heaven's sake, put on some briefs. And for you inconsiderate people out there, put on a mask. Our first guest tonight is a voice talent of eminent renown, with his voice featured in well over 100 video games, including the latest installments of Sonic the Hedgehog, where he plays Knuckles the Echidna. He is in one of the biggest games of all time, Mortal Kombat. In Mortal Kombat 11, he takes on the roles of one of the big bads, Garrus, and of course, a perennial favorite amongst Mortal Kombat fans, Sector, the Triborg fighter. And he has also taken on another Mortal Kombat role in a feature film, joining Joel McHale in Mortal Kombat Legends, Scorpion's Revenge, where he plays the role of the Thunder God himself, Raiden. Would you please welcome Mr. Dave B. Mitchell?
Dave, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
I am incredibly stoked for you, man. This is a huge coup. I mean, this is a wonderful opportunity. You're playing a prolific Mortal Kombat character, are you not?
Oh, I thought you meant doing your show.
Oh, well, yeah, of course, you know, it's a prolific opportunity to do my show. I'm not gonna deny you that, but you know, I'm talking about your movie. Okay. But
yeah. Mortal Kombat, Scorpion's Revenge, Mortal Kombat Legends, actually.
Legends, Scorpion's Revenge, you know.
So yes, I'm playing Raiden and a couple other peripheral characters in there.
Yeah.
But Raiden's definitely the big one. You can see right here. We got
Yes. Oh, sorry. And I said that and you stood up and everybody missed your shirt. So speak again.
There we go. Got the Raiden shirt on right there. Woohoo! So yeah. I always got
sexy. There you go. That is quite impressive.
Yeah. One of my things that I'm known for in sessions actually is because we don't have any costuming, I always, and because I work on so many things that I'm a fan of, or I'm a fan of the genre, or a fan of, you know, something related, I almost always have something, you know, cogent to wear for the session. And it's gotten to the point where if I don't have something, I will get something, assuming I know what it is I'm working on, because, you know, 50-50, you may not even know what it is. It's under a code name. You don't know until you show up. But if I know what it is going in, I always show up wearing something pertaining to the session. And if I show up without one, with people that I work with a lot, I walk in and they're like, wait, what's wrong? Why aren't you wearing a shirt? I'm like, I didn't know what it was. I'm wearing a shirt, just not an appropriate shirt. Well, it's not an inappropriate shirt. It's not like got porn on it or something. But
question. This brings up a good question for you, Dave. What big video game projects would people most identify you with?
Oh man, well, let's see. Recently, to tie into this, Mortal Kombat 11. I played Garrus and Sector in that. Garrus, brand new character, which was amazing to get to bring that to life, because I'm a huge Mortal Kombat fan from all the way back to the first game and the movies and all that stuff. So to get to bring a new character into the franchise, and a really cool character on top of it. And I also got to play Sector, which I didn't know until I actually went in to do the session. And it was a huge surprise, because I got there and they said, okay, you're this and you're also Sector. I'm like, whoa. Sector? As in like Lin Kuei Robo Ninja Red Sector? And they said, yeah. I kind of lost it because I was like, oh my God, that's my favorite character in the entire Mortal Kombat universe. And they laughed and were like, oh, that's awesome. So I was like, okay, so that's really cool. Spider-Man PS4, that was a huge hit. I play Shocker in that, which easily one of the best things I ever worked on. Top to bottom, the cast, the writing, the gameplay, the action, the music. I mean, everything about it, every single person brought their A game to this thing. It was a huge hit, and it's staggering how good video games can be, not just as games, but as storytelling, as art, as all of those things in a very cinematic way that games are now. And there's quite a bit of that in MK11 too. Obviously, it's more kind of a linear thing, and it's got the tier system with the way the fighters work. But there is definitely a story there, especially with MK11, and the new characters, and the fact that you're dealing with different versions of the characters with time travel and different. There's that. Let's see. I was Bish in the first Titanfall, the guy that kind of gives you all the mission stuff. I've done, and I always forget. I'm like, what have I worked on? Oh yeah. You can go to, if you go to IMDb, you can look it up. Dave B. Mitchell.
Oh yes, yeah, IMDb, Dave B. Mitchell for sure.
Because honestly, I just I'm not being goofy. When I try to think of everything, because fortunately there's I've done over 100 games in my career so far. And so, yeah, it's funny how when you're put on the spot, like, yeah, if somebody says, did you work on that? Oh yeah, sure, I was that, and I played this character, that character. Although I also have situations where, because some of the games we do, if you're doing ancillary characters or Thug 3 and Police 5 and Soldier 2 and all that, which is a lot. There's a lot of that, which is great because we constantly get to work and get paid and get to work on these cool, fun projects with our friends and people we respect, and it's really cool. But so many of them are under code names, and particularly if you're going in for a day and not playing primary characters, unless it's something really obvious where you're going, it's Batman, get him, then you kind of have some idea what you're working on. But otherwise, you may not know. And I've had friends say, hey, I was playing this game the other day. Is that you? And it could be. I don't know. Maybe. And then I'll go listen to it and go, oh, yeah, that's me. Cool. Nice. So.
Question for you, though. Now, have you, are there any characters that you would really love to play? To be the voice of in either animation or video games?
It's interesting because that question comes up a lot, and I'm never sure I have a good answer for it because there are characters I love, and sometimes those characters do come up for audition. Honestly, Raiden's one of them because Raiden obviously has been played by a bunch of different people.
Mm-hmm.
Primarily in recent years, Richard Epcar, of whom I'm a huge fan, and he's a friend, and I love him, and I love his Raiden. So it's always interesting trying to bring something different to a character that somebody's really kind of put their stamp on and that fans have identified with. But so far, in fact, we're doing a thing on Saturday, which is right tomorrow as we're taping this.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna do a live tweet while watching Mortal Kombat, the new one. And fortunately, it was streaming. It just dropped this week on DVD and Blu-ray. It was streaming for about a week before that, I think. And fortunately, I've gotten a lot of nice feedback from people. A lot of people were not real thrilled when they heard Richard wasn't going to be playing the role in the movie, which I get it, because it's one of the hardest things is to take over. Or in this case, it's not even taking over because it's a different property and it's just a different approach, starting from the beginning again with the storytelling. But it's always interesting to step into a role that someone else has played and has played really well. So I'm not sure that there's anything off the top of my head that I'm like, oh yeah, I'd love to play that character, just because so many of those characters that I really love have been done so well by my colleagues and my friends that
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, a lot of the real excitement, unless it's something like, getting to play Shocker in Spider-Man was huge. That was,
Oh,
I'm a lifelong comic book fan. Spider-Man was always a favorite. I'm definitely a big Marvel guy. And Shocker is a really, really cool character. And I really felt like when I first went in to work on that and showed me some of the first animations and the story and the gameplay, I was just like, wow, this looks ridiculous. And Shocker, who was always a really powerful character, he's not, maybe not as well known as some of like Doc Ock or somebody like that, who I've also played, by the way. But to get to do that and just looking at the way they depicted the shock gauntlets in the game, I was like, oh, that's it. That's how strong Shocker is. And people really responded to that and to just everything they did with that. So, in that case, something like that or something like Raiden, and Shocker, there had been quite a few great people that had played Shocker over the years and different iterations. I really feel like the way that they wrote this, the way they created the character, what they gave me to do and what they allowed me to play with, just really, really let me go somewhere with the character that was really cool, and people really responded to it, which was great. I was so overwhelmed by the reaction I got from that. And so far, it seems like people are liking Raiden. I hope they do, because I love the character. I love the franchise. I love the property. Getting to play such an iconic character from Mortal Kombat. I mean, Raiden is one of the central characters of the whole mythos. So getting to step into those shoes was really exciting for me, and I'm thrilled that finally people get to see it. And I hope people enjoy it. I hope they like it. I hope they will go along with kind of what I brought to it and what the writers created for me to do. But it's kind of a long-winded answer, saying the thing that's most exciting probably is really getting to create new characters. Bring new things to life or introduce people to something where people get to meet a character as you. There's a perfect example.
Garrus, yeah.
Well, actually, Outer Worlds. Garrus is a perfect example, but Outer Worlds in particular, that's another big game. I'm Vicar Max in that, who's one of the main companions, and brand new character, brand new property, brand new content, and such a fun character to play. And again, I've gotten so much great reaction to that. He's a dick. He's not, but he was so much fun to play. Just because the writing, and that's where a lot of this stuff comes from. In animation and games, just the quality of the writing that's going on in those two worlds, they're giving us so much to work with and so much to play with. And you get these scripts and look at them and go, really, I get to do this? This is what I get to do. And that definitely was the experience with Outer Worlds with Vicar Max. Like all the way through that, would stop and look at, I had two different friends directing on that, stop and look after, like a monologue and say, oh my God, this writing is so good. And we were just kind of blown away by how good it was. So, and that's,
well, a lot of great screenwriters. Are moving into the video game world. And
sure, yeah. There's because the opportunity for cinematic storytelling and for extended storytelling. Because if you're looking at a movie, with a series, if you're looking at a movie, you're looking at 90 minutes, 2 hours to kind of get everything in, unless it's part of a franchise or something. But with a game, you conceivably, in a larger game, you've got 40, 50 hours of gameplay, and that's that a lot of that's based on the choices you make, whereas we've recorded a lot of alternatives as far as the dialogue and actions. So if you make one choice, we're going to go in this direction and you're going to hear this set of dialogue. If you make a different choice, we're going to go over here and you'll hear this set of dialogue. So I think I would imagine anyway, as a writer, that it's got to be great to just be able to flesh these out and really look at every circumstance for a character, as opposed to having to be strictly linear as far as getting, point A to point B to the end, driving the character arc, driving the plot, that kind of thing. So.
Well, that's good. A question, another quick question for you. On the Mortal Kombat 11 voiceover that you did they transfer that over to the Mortal Kombat mobile game?
That's a good question. I actually don't know. I'm not sure.
Mm. Because as an addict myself, I've been playing the Mortal Kombat mobile on my phone quite incessantly.
Yeah, I don't think so, because I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I don't know the mobile games, so I don't know.
Yeah, because Kotal Khan definitely sounds like Phil. So
that's very possible. Is Geras in there at all, or
no, not Geras, but Sector is, and a whole bunch of Triborg characters.
When did that game come out? Because I'm not the first one to have played Sector. Sector was, and forgive me for forgetting who it was, but because it was somebody awesome that played Sector in Mortal Kombat 10, I believe.
Yeah. Well, this kind of coincides with Mortal Kombat 11 because they've been upgrading. They've been adding characters along as they go.
Oh wow.
So yeah.
That's kind of another one of those things where not necessarily in on what they're doing with stuff usually.
Yeah. You don't know where your voice is going. All right. Hey, we had a really good conversation. I've got one final question for you. Things turn out that you end up where I'm at. Who do you want presiding over your music therapy? Because they're using music therapy with me, and it seems to be helping. They said, you need to go with a good artist. It helps. Who would you want incorporated into that?
Well, I mean, if you're going with just favorites, it would depend on my mood. I could probably give you 3 that kind of cover a pretty good range.
Okay.
My overall, my favorite band of all time, Dream Theater. Seen them live like 30 times. They're definitely my go-to. If from the jazz side of things, because that's, all of my formal training as a musician was actually in jazz and classical, would be Michael Brecker, who's to me the greatest saxophonist who ever lived. Sadly, he's been gone, I think 11 years now. As of January, he passed away. Mm-hmm. But that he will live on forever. And if you're talking about something kind of mood, floating around kind of stuff, I have always, and it still am to this day, they're a huge influence on me musically, Tangerine Dream. If you couldn't have watched a movie in the 80s without Tangerine Dream. Coolest moody electronic stuff ever. So those kind of cover a pretty good range, I think, right there.
Dave, it was awesome as always to talk to you, sir, and I'm glad you gave me the opportunity to have a mulligan on this whole talk show thing. I appreciate it.
Your Thorazine, don't bite anyone. The walls look soft, so you're probably okay for bouncing around, but don't throw yourself too hard against the walls or anything.
Well, I'll take your advice. It's good to talk to you, Dave Mitchell.
Have a good weekend.
Our next guest tonight is an outstanding actor and comedian who has a career that has now literally spanned decades. He has most recently been seen on CBS's Young Sheldon with Ian Armitage, on NBC's Sunny Side with Cal Penn, and on ABC's Speechless with Minnie Driver. For years he has been around. We're talking since '98 when he played in Godzilla with Matthew Broderick, and of course the perennial favorite, Everybody Loves Raymond with Ray Romano. Let me put it this way. If you want authentic East Coast for your story, and I'm talking black socks and sandals on the beach authentic here, this is the man you want for your production. Would you please welcome Mr. Rich Grosso.
How you doing, Rich?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me in the mental ward here. Appreciate it very much.
Well, I'm always up for the company, even if I can't actually have the company. So you can understand that.
You
And
know,
we
it's always good to visit someone else's nut house every once in a while instead of, the monotony of your own. So I appreciate you having me here.
Well, I definitely appreciate you getting here before Med's time. That was the key element right there. So I'm really happy to have you on. So your episode of Young Sheldon aired a couple weeks ago, didn't it?
It did. Well, if you didn't blink, you probably saw me. And no small parts, only short actors. So I was, but you know what? Yeah, like they say, no small parts, right? So very honored and happy to be a part of that. I think this is Sheldon's last season too, if I'm not mistaken. So I got in under the wire. I've kind of, so and it was great. It was just, it was a great experience. And getting hired by Chuck Lorre is a nice credit to have on an actor's resume. So I appreciate it.
Well, there you go. Well, that's definitely something good. Uh, I was about to ask you something because you were in a scene with two Hollywood legends, Craig T. Nelson and Annie Potts.
And Annie Potts, be still my heart. She is still as beautiful as when she was in Pretty in Pink with Molly Ringwald, and Craig T. Nelson was awesome. They were both just amazing, and they were pros, and they couldn't have been more warm and kind to me. And because I'm also a stand-up comedian, as you know, and a lot of people don't know, Craig T. Nelson was a stand-up comedian. He had a comedy team of him and Barry Levinson, of the famous director Barry Levinson. So I got to speak to him about that. We were talking about the old days when he was doing stand up with Barry Levinson, and he goes, yeah, and he still sees him, and they went to lunch the other day. So it was just really cool to hear some of the old war stories from both of those wonderful seasoned veterans. It was a lot of fun.
Well, quick question. Actually, not a quick question. Just a quick statement. Actually, I remember I worked at the Comedy Store back in the early '90s, and I was blown away when I saw they had his headshot there of his comedy career.
Yeah.
So that was a very impressive. I was like, he did stand up. Wow, he's a consummate comedy actor, or consummate actor in general. Everything he does is great.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, there was a fun fact is that he was the original guy that Steve Levitan was considering to play the role of Jay in Modern Family.
But he ended up of that.
Yeah, but he ended up doing Parenthood. So they went a different.
I mean, he's a great guy. I don't feel sorry for Mr. Nelson. He's got a wonderful career.
Oh yeah, not in the least. Yeah, he's had a wonderful career. He's a great career, and and an incredible work both on screen and as a voice actor, which I always appreciate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but speaking,
that's your background, obviously.
Oh well, yeah. Well,
I heard the promo. You sound better than ever. So.
Oh well, thank you. That's very kind of you. That's the the sad part about it is I was born with a face for voiceover. So that's and so doing
the old I have a face for radio. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you. Yeah. But how do you see your career unfolding now in the wake of social distancing and our brave new frontier?
Yeah, you know what? Here's what I think. This isn't the first time in history that the world has stopped, that there has not been a catastrophe. And that unfortunately people have died. We've our history has had there's been plagues, and there's been, there's been tragedy in this universe. And I think the positive side to that is it never ceases to amaze me how people come together, and how much kindness that I've certainly seen during this bout of tragedy, as a planet. How we're coming together and putting away some of our petty differences, and some not so petty. And At the end of the day, we heal. We forget, we move on, and I think it's gonna get back to normal eventually. I really do. I think there's gonna be a day where people are gonna laugh and go, remember when we wouldn't hug? You remember that was hysterical, And I hope to God I'm right, because I don't think anybody wants me to be wrong. I think everybody would like it to get back to normal. So that's what I'm hoping and praying for. And
Well,
I think it will eventually.
I think we all share in your hope.
Yeah, take some time, but I think we'll get there. I really do. I believe in us.
Well, very good. And that's the title of your next TV show, right?
Your mouth to God's ears. I'll take a TV
I
show.
believe in us. The spinoff from This Is Us. Of course, actually, I'm sure if anybody watches this, they're like, oh, that's a great idea to steal. We're going to take that one down. Hold on. We've still got a little time here. I wanted to ask you about your appearance on Sunnyside, which is what I thought was downright one of you were downright hysterical.
Oh, thank you.
That was you were.
Another great guy to work for. Mike Sure. I mean, Parks and Rec, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and Cal Penn was an honor and privilege to work with, and Moses Storm. Great comedian and actor, and the sidekicks that they hired us. The other guys that I was with on that show. It was a lot of fun, and they were a class act, and I got to play my stereotypical little Vinny Boom Butts, how you doing, what are you doing, and I don't mind it at all. It was great. It was really good. I don't know if it's coming back or not. They talked about it maybe coming back on the streaming service, but not on regular network. But I don't know if any decisions have been made about that yet. Look, I'm an older guy. I'm a veteran guy. I don't know what you don't know. I'm a guy that left the business for 15 years, to raise a family. I did other things. I didn't act. I didn't do comedy. I was gone for 15 years, and I came back in 2013, and I've been back hitting it hard ever since. And it's like I'm new again. So this is all new to me again. It's all fresh. I'm not like jaded. I haven't been pounding the pavement for the last 30 years. I took a 15-year break and did other things.
What other things did you do in that time?
I became a chef, and I owned a very successful restaurant in the San Fernando Valley, in Woodland Hills. I had a place called Giovanni Restaurant, which was named in memory of my late father. And we were in the neighborhood. We had a little neighborhood mom and pop Italian restaurant for 15 years. And that's, kind of got my kid through college and all that stuff, and helped pay for my 2 divorces, and now that I'm alone again, and I have nobody to worry about but me, I'm an old guy, but like I get to go be this young starving artist again. It's a lot of fun. Of course, reality sets in more when you're my age and you're a starving artist again. For example, I was up for a commercial. You can probably relate to this. I was up for a commercial for the role of a janitor. And it doesn't matter if I get the gig or not. But during the commercial, I realized it doesn't matter whether I get this or not. I'd have more money in the bank today had right after high school I had just become a real janitor. So so but that's not what it's about for me. It's about doing the work again. Since I've been back, between the stand-up and the acting, the universe has definitely given me enough signs and enough signals that this is what I should be doing. And thank God it's a business that we could do until we can't breathe anymore, as long as we can make it to set. So, and I had a good year. 2019 was great. I did about 4 or 5 TV shows. I did a film. This year, before the pandemic hit, as you know, I did Young Sheldon. I did a movie that I'm not allowed to talk about. I had to sign a non-disclosure over at Warner Brothers, which is when this gets started up again. I'll have the privilege of being a part of. An Oscar-winning producer is attached to it, and I'm just waiting to get back to work and just try to stay positive like everybody else is during these tough times.
Well, that's all anybody can hope for, Rich. Listen, it's been great talking to you. Like I said, it's getting close to Med's time, and I still got to get in a musical act here. So
there you go. Well,
you have a wonderful evening. It was great talking to you, sir, and we'll talk again soon.
Daniel, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. Good luck with the show.
Well, thank you so very much, Rich. I appreciate it, and good luck to you in all your future endeavors.
Thank you.
I can't believe this. I'm a total space cadet. I had Rich right here, and I meant to ask him about a movie he did in 2018, which is now available for free on Amazon Prime, called Assassin's Code. It's a great movie, stars Justin Chatwin and Peter Stormare, and that guy you just saw, Rich Grosso. As a matter of fact, I think I've got a clip here. Let me get it ready for you. Here, take a look.
Carmen, those things will kill you. You gotta die of something. Nice night. You see up there? That's the Hunter, Orion. To the left, you have Canis Major and Canis Minor. So you see, even up in Cosmos, the Hunter has his faithful dogs.
So that's the Hunter, and those are his dogs?
Yeah. Klaus, see.
For crying out loud, Schlichter. How many corpses you gonna make tonight?
Is it weighing on your conscience?
No. It's weighing on my back. I gotta haul this stiff back to the lake.
Our musical guest tonight is from Nashville, Tennessee. He is a singer-songwriter that can be found performing all the time at the world-famous Bluebird Cafe, where the likes of Garth Brooks, Keith Urban, countless other country music stars have performed. His music isn't exactly country, but it's really good. And I'm proud to have him back, especially after our ill-fated show last week, because he's performing a brand new track this week. Would you please welcome Mr. Stephen Roth?
Is this the thing I've done to you? Like a car crash in slow-mo. Step on the gas and I watch it go. I will take you, I will break you, till we all fall down. You pray for mercy, pray forgiveness, pray to God to be Father to us all. Yeah, this is the thing I've done to you. Ride a rocket, just jump on me. Taste the love, the tragedy. I will take you, I will break you, until we all fall down, until we all fall down. You pray for mercy, pray forgiveness, pray to God to be a father to us all. Say now look up, you've always dreamed of. Now your dreams are coming true. Damn your swollen eyes, all my alibis. Damn the things that tear us into. 'Cause I will take you, I will break you, until we all fall down, until we all fall down. Pray for mercy, pray forgiveness, pray to God to be a father to us all. Pray for mercy, pray forgiveness, pray to God to be a father to us all. Ooh, ah.
I'd like to thank all of my guests for participating this evening. Dave B. Mitchell, you can catch him in Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge. It's streaming right now and available on DVD and Blu-ray. Rich Grosso, you can catch him right now on Amazon Prime for free, The Assassin's Code with Justin Chatwin and Peter Stormare. And of course, Stephen Roth, you can check him out at rothsongs.com. I think we've got time for a little audience Q&A here.
Hey, Mr. Sanishevsky, time for your meds.
Oh, that's Nurse Jameson. Didn't make it as a doctor.
Hey, delusional Danny. I have a doctorate of nursing practice from UCLA, and if you're not careful with that attitude, you can find some extra strength stool softener in a future dose. You get me, son?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Now come get your meds before I have the orderly strap you down for the night and have Larry come in for a visit.
Oh my God, he drinks so much soda at dinner tonight. I gotta go. I'll talk to you all later. Bye.